Hello and welcome to the AT Center at TCNJ. This three-part webinar series is titled Adapting Meaningful Music Experiences for Persons with Disabilities of All Ages and is presented by Abigail Jones. Abigail is a board-certified music therapist working in New York City. Throughout her practice, she has worked with individuals from birth to death while in medical, educational, memory care, and mental health settings. She has worked in the NICU, PICU, outpatient mental health, special education, and assisted living facilities, and has worked with a wide range of diagnoses. She received her undergraduate degree in music therapy and psychology from UMKC in Kansas City and received her master's at CSU and is also trained in neurologic music therapy techniques. These webinars are made possible through our partnership with the New Jersey Department of Education, Office of Special Education. The statements issued by guest presenters do not reflect the stance of the NJDOE OSC. Please use your professional judgment when implementing strategies and resources within your practice. Let's listen to Abigail as she walks us through information on neurologically informed music experience in schools.
All right. So next I wanted to talk about music and the brain. So as I've continued my journey being a music therapist, learning about music and the brain and how music interacts with the brain with us has been so insightful and helpful as I'm especially now as I'm working with students that have brain injuries and brain-based disorders. So I just wanted to share some information about that as you're using music, potentially as a tool wherever you're working. You can have a little bit of a deeper understanding. So I really like this image for Music Together and just shows us how music lights up the whole brain, which is why it's such an incredible tool in so many ways. So this is a nice visual. It talks about how it activates the corpus callosum, which is that hemispheric synchronization. So the brain's communicating with each other. It's like the highway between the two sides of the brain. The sensory cortex for processing tactile information, auditory cortex for sound processing. So think about language. That's really important. Visual cortex for visual processing. The cerebellum for moving and emotions. The hippocampus for memory. It's another great tool for memory. The amygdala for emotional processing, and then the motor cortex for movement. And I feel like there's more than this, but this is like a really nice overview summary of thinking about how you can think of those non-musical goals and how you can use music to help promote change and neuroplasticity. So elements of music are key. So whether you're musical or not, I think just talking through this and understanding this can really help you if you do start to use music a little more. So my favorite musical element is rhythm because it's processed in the brainstem. So no matter what's happening in the rest of the brain, if you have a brain injury or if you have dementia, um, the rhythm's like processed in the brainstem, and that then spreads through the whole brain. So it's like a less complex signal for the brain. And rhythm is with us at the very beginning of life. Our first sense that develops is hearing. And so we hear our mother's heartbeat. And that rhythm is so important for our entire lives. So um, it really helps to activate motor areas with priming, anticipation, and those motor areas that are related to speech, movement, walking, and can also activate the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. Again, everything close to the back of the head, and it can help regulate movement and timing. So it also just entrains all of the brain waves in your brain. So if you hear clapping and I stop, I still kind of hear it. So just that salient element of music is such a powerful one. And it's really nice if you aren't musical, you really can like tap your body, tap a table, feel the rhythm as best as you can and use that in a way that might help whoever you're working with. Then we have melody that engages the auditory cortex and that stimulates areas associated with memory, language, and emotion. So there's a lot of research going into the shared neural networks of music and language. So that's something that I'm still learning about, but I think it's telling that as children we listen to music, and that helps a lot with language development and memorizing things. So, it's a really important aspect of music. Then we have harmony. This activates complex cognitive processing, just looking for the dissonance, the consonants. Harmony can evoke feelings of tension or resolution. And this also activates emotional processing and reward centers in the brain, which is why we like listening to music. And then there are dynamics and tempo. So this is really great for novelty. If you're trying to like get someone's attention or motivate them to do something, I'll do this a lot in my practice. Like as a music therapist, I can tailor music to whatever experience is happening in front of me, and I'll use dynamics and tempo a lot, and harmony and melody and rhythm. But with dynamics and tempo, you can vary the volume, the speed, and this can affect arousal levels and the autonomic nervous system. So, as you know, faster tempos can lead to increased heart rate and alertness, and then slower can help relax, reduce stress. All right, so I wanted to just talk a little bit about neuroplasticity and entrainment. So neurologic music therapy, which is what I'm trained in, there are specific techniques that are heavily researched, and these techniques really allow for neuroplasticity using those elements of music as a sensory experience. So through these mechanisms listed, you can really create interventions or use interventions that they've researched and tailor it to your experience to help by using rhythm, melody, and structured exercises to help promote that neuroplasticity. And so this can lead to functional recovery. So I worked in acute rehab at the Children's Hospital, and even using rhythm to, and this was before I even was trained in it. I had some experience. And so I was just like informed by that technique. But even like from my internship, seeing how elements of music and auditory motor coupling, strengthening neural pathways, like with repetitive like experiences, then they were able to move their arm one day. They were able to say a word to their mom one day. So there's a lot of power to these techniques and the way they've been created and researched and are implemented. So a big aspect of this thinking and approach is that music helps recruit and reorganize brain areas. And this improves functioning. And, if a certain part of the brain is damaged, the brain will recruit other areas of healthy parts of the brain to relearn something. So because music is one of the few things that is a widespread experience in the brain, it really helps to recruit different parts. So like if there's a part of your brain where you're unable to speak but you can sing, then through singing you can relearn how to speak eventually through these specific techniques. So that's just kind of an extreme example, but just to give you some idea. So again, summary: by engaging multiple brain regions, music therapy helps potentially regain loss of function, strengthen neural pathways, create new ones, and then this can lead to improved non-musical domains. Priming and synchronization is a really fun tool to use as a music therapist. Rhythm is processed in multiple interconnected brain regions, as I said before, and this is primarily auditory, motor, and cognitive networks. So these are the different parts of the brain that can be involved in priming and synchronization. And then below that is listed how all these areas work together. So it's kind of like in a process. So the auditory cortex detects rhythm, the basal ganglia and cerebellum process the timing and predict the beats, like when I was clapping. So that was happening as I was clapping. And then the motor cortex, so if you wanted to clap along with me, then that's where that process came in. And then you have the prefrontal areas coordinating the movement, and then that cognitive and social engagement that occurs as well if we're all in a room together doing that. This networked approach explains why rhythm is so deeply tied to speech and movement cognition, and really is a foundational component of NMT techniques. All right, to wrap up music and the brain, I wanted to kind of go through the different non-musical goals, talk about the brain basis of that, and then also how it could be used in the classroom, just to provide an example of how you could use this background knowledge that you're using during, or that you're learning about during this presentation, or any other research that you do on your own or in collaboration with a music therapist, and how you can apply that to whatever work you're doing. So starting off with enhancing attention and focus. And I'm going to go ahead and skip the brain basis for all these since we already kind of discussed it and you can read it on your own. But for classroom use, you could use soft instrumental music during independent work to reduce distractions. And then you can begin lessons with like a rhythmic chant, clapping to signal transitions and re-engage attention. So I work with young kids, older kids, young adults. And I've found that this is appropriate through all ages, just making sure that it's appropriate for their age group and making it fun for whoever you're working with. That also helps with engagement if it's fun. Moving on, supporting memory and retention. So this is great for teaching academic content. You can do this through songs or rhymed chants. And then you can pair new information with background music to create context-based memory triggers. So that's a really cool approach. You can improve language and speech skills. So in the classroom, you can use a call and response, singing, or rhythmic speaking for phonemic awareness, and then encouraging students to create songs or raps to practice sentence structure, storytelling, all these amazing language and speech skills that we use through music. Continued focusing on regulating emotions and behavior. So in the classroom, which I'm sure a lot of you do this already, just playing calm music during transitions or after like high activities, high energy activities. So this is dependent on the age group, their preference. That is a big part of music therapy that I didn't mention, and something to really think about is like using music that is client preferred or student preferred and or patient preferred. And that's the music you want to use. So just getting to know and building a relationship with that person and really knowing like, oh, I know this calms them down. Like there's a student that I work with at Coldplay. Coldplay calms them down. So, but maybe another person doesn't like Coldplay and that doesn't calm them down. They want to listen to like rain sounds. It could be sounds too. And then you can incorporate rhythm-based movement breaks to help students self-regulate. So something that I love about rhythm, it's my favorite thing, is that as your brain is processing it in the brainstem, it also helps regulate your body. So that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which regulates your heart rate, your breathing, and your brain. It just helps slow everything down and become synchronous, which is helpful for elevating your mood, feeling more calm. So yeah, it's a really powerful tool. Also, you can boost executive functioning and social skills. So in the classroom, you could really do this as a group activity. And you can use rhythm. You can practice turn taking and cooperation. Something that I like to do a lot, it's really simple. I use rhythm sticks, but you could do this with like clapping, but just having someone start off like in a circle, be the leader. They can do like a pattern, and then everyone else in the group has to do the pattern that they do. And then this is great for executive functioning and social skills with like nonverbal communication, because then you just look to the next person like to your right. Or you could do like at random, like so you really have to be engaged. And then once you like make eye contact with that person, it's their turn. And then that person then becomes a leader and does like their own rhythm. You do this with dance moves, with like vocalizations. It can be anything at all. And so that's a great way to boost executive functioning and social skills. And then leveraging neuroplasticity for skill development. So in the classroom, as an example, you could embed structured musical routines daily. So in my music therapy sessions, I do a hello song, I do some dancing, we do some like educational component or like something that's more cognitively demanding. After I do the hello song, so they know it's time for a hello song dancing, that also helps ignite the brain and then gets them ready to do something that's more cognitively demanding. And then we end with a see you later song, a goodbye song, however you want to phrase it. So just embedding that structure can really allow for skill development in the classroom and also help with regulation, depending on, if you are in a classroom, if you're in an office, whatever needs your client or your patient has, that structure is a human desire, and music does a great job of encompassing that structure. You can use rhythmic pacing to support students with motor planning or sequencing challenges. So again, this is kind of a general one of just like that music's ability to allow for neuroplasticity through all the elements of music and the structure of music, the harmony. These are all things that work together to promote change in the brain.
Thank you for joining us. Are you a New Jersey educator looking for support or professional development tailored to your district's assistive technology needs? We offer free, customized training and coaching for New Jersey teachers, paraprofessionals, and families. From hands-on workshops to individual classroom support, as well as small group facilitation, we are here to help. Visit us at atcenter.tcnj.edu to learn more. Have a question? Contact us anytime at atcenter@tcnj.edu. Please like this video, leave us a comment, and subscribe for more content on all things related to assistive technology.